The warehouse in Gangnam wasn't supposed to exist. Officially, underground auctions like this had been shut down. At least, that's what the Seoul Metropolitan Police claimed. But in the shadows of the city, behind pharmaceutical fronts and abandoned storage facilities, men still sold living things like used equipment. Dogs, broken, scarred, military rejects. And tonight, one of them was about to be sold to a dog meat trader for 5,000 won, a Belgian Malinois with amber eyes and secrets that powerful men had killed 8 soldiers to bury. Until Lee Kang-jin stepped from the shadows and changed everything. The crowd pressed closer to the cage, calculating profit margins and meat yield. They saw what they'd been told to see: a dangerous animal, too violent for service, worthless except for parts. Kang-jin saw something different entirely. He'd built an empire by recognizing value in broken things, by understanding that the most dangerous predators are the ones everyone dismisses. And when those amber eyes locked onto his, sharp, calculating, intelligent, he recognized himself. This wasn't a failed military dog. This was a soldier who'd survived 3 years by playing dead, and he'd been waiting for someone smart enough to notice. Titan fought for 3 years to expose the truth. We fought for 3 years to build a community of 160,000 subscribers who believed these stories mattered. YouTube suspended our channel without warning. No strikes, no explanation, just gone. Every story we told, every voice we amplified, erased, just like they tried to erase Titan. But we're rebuilding. If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, subscribe now. Drop a comment with your country so we know our community is still here. They silenced us once. Don't let them succeed twice. Titan never gave up. Neither will we. Let's continue our story. Kang-jin's hand placed 5 million won in cash on the auctioneer's table. The bills landed with a heavy thump that silenced the murmuring crowd. "For that?" someone laughed, pointing at the motionless dog in the corner. "You're joking." Kang-jin didn't answer. He was already calculating logistics, transportation, veterinary care, security protocols. He'd already won. 20 minutes earlier. The warehouse in Gangnam reeked of desperation and blood money. Underground auctions always did. Kang-jin had attended dozens over the years. Weapons, information, occasionally people stupid enough to think they could disappear in Seoul without his organization knowing. Tonight's merchandise was different. "Next item," the auctioneer announced, his voice carrying poorly over the gathered crowd of criminals, dealers, and human vultures. "Military reject, Belgian Malinois, age 6, designation Titan." 2 handlers dragged a wheeled cage to the center of the warehouse floor. Inside lay a dog that didn't move. Not frozen in fear, simply still. Completely, utterly still. Scarred muzzle resting on massive paws. Amber eyes half closed. "Trained by ROK Special Forces," the auctioneer continued, reading from a crumpled document. "Rejected for aggressive tendencies and failure to complete operational certification. Bite record, 3 handlers injured. Psychological evaluation, unsuitable for military service." The crowd pressed closer. Kang-jin remained in the shadows, observing. "Damaged goods," muttered a weapons dealer to Kang-jin's left. "Should be put down," agreed another. "Look at those scars." A man in a stained apron pushed to the front. One of Seoul's dog meat traders. Kang-jin recognized him from previous dealings. The trader was calculating weight, meat yield. The crowd's mockery escalated into something uglier. "We'll start bidding at 50,000 won, the auctioneer announced without confidence. Silence. 40,000? More silence. Someone laughed. 30,000 won. Come now, gentlemen. Military-trained animal, even if... 5,000, the dog meat trader called out, and that's generous. The auctioneer looked ready to accept when Kang-jin finally moved. He stepped from the shadows and the crowd parted instinctively. They knew his face, they knew his reputation. Lee Kang-jin didn't attend auctions for entertainment. He walked to the cage with measured steps. His tailored suit cost more than everything in this warehouse combined. His presence commanded a silence that even the auctioneer's gavel couldn't achieve. Kang-jin crouched before the cage, steadying the dog that everyone had dismissed. The warehouse held its collective breath. 5 million won, Kang-jin said quietly. The auctioneer blinked. I'm sorry, did you say 5 million won? Cash? Now? The dog meat trader stammered something about Kang-jin being insane. Someone else muttered about more money than sense. But Kang-jin wasn't listening to them anymore. He was watching the dog. Because in that moment, just for a fraction of a second, the dog's eyes had opened fully and locked onto his. Amber, sharp, calculating. The gaze of something that had been waiting, watching, assessing. This wasn't a broken animal. This was a soldier playing dead. And judging by the intelligence in those eyes, he'd been waiting a very long time for someone smart enough to notice. Kang-jin's penthouse overlooked the Han River. All glass and steel and carefully curated power. Art worth millions. Security systems that had cost even more. An empire built on seeing what others missed. 20 years ago, he'd been a starving child in Itaewon's back alleys. He'd watched other street kids fight over scraps, tearing each other apart for half a discarded sandwich. Young Kang-jin had learned early, don't fight for the food. Let them think you're too weak, too broken to bother with. Then take what they leave behind when they're not watching. He'd survived by being underestimated, by being invisible until the exact moment he chose not to be. The same strategy that had built his empire from those alleys to this penthouse. The same instinct that made him see value where others saw garbage, in people and opportunities, and a rejected military dog that everyone else had written off. The armored vehicle rolled through Seoul's midnight streets, Titan's cage secured in the cargo area. Kang-jin watched the city pass, his mind already 3 moves ahead. His head of security, Marcus, sat in the passenger seat, skepticism radiating from his silence. "It's just a broken dog, boss," Marcus finally said. Kang-jin didn't look away from the window. "Everyone saw what they were told to see. I saw what he wanted me to see." "And what's that?" "A survivor using the same strategy I did." They arrived at Kang-jin's compound, a fortress disguised as a pharmaceutical company headquarters. Legal businesses on the surface, carefully maintained. But beneath, control centers, secure warehouses, facilities for the work that happened in Seoul's shadows. His staff unloaded the cage with visible terror. The rejected military dog's reputation had apparently preceded him. "Put him in the secure kennel," Kang-jin ordered. "No one approaches without my direct authorization." But instead of heading to his quarters, Kang-jin went to the security office. He pulled up the kennel's camera feed and watched. Most people would see a traumatized dog lying motionless in a corner. Kang-jin saw something else entirely. The dog's eyes tracked everything, every sound, every movement beyond his line of sight. His ears swiveled with mechanical precision, processing acoustic information. When a guard passed by the door, Titan's muscles tensed in perfect tactical readiness before deliberately relaxing. This wasn't broken behavior. This was a combat assessment, constant, professional, controlled. "Boss?" Marcus appeared in the doorway, his expression grim. "You remember that American client 3 months ago, Colonel Hayes?" Kang-jin's attention snapped from the screen. "The one who wanted to move military equipment through our port? 2 of our people died after you refused him. We never found out who ordered it." Kang-jin had turned down Colonel Marcus Hayes' smuggling proposal because even his morally flexible empire had lines. Weapons for terrorist organizations, experimental military technology for foreign powers, that crossed into something that would bring more heat than profit. 2 of his most trusted lieutenants died in what the police called gang violence 2 weeks later. Kang-jin had suspected Hayes but had no proof, no way to strike back without starting a war he couldn't finish. He looked back at Titan on the security monitor, a rejected military dog, falsified records, an American colonel who dealt in military equipment and had access to eliminate people who got in his way. Marcus, Kanjin said slowly, find out everything about military dog handlers killed in the last 5 years. Cross-reference it with anyone connected to Colonel Marcus Hayes. You think the dog is connected? I think someone very powerful wanted this dog to disappear. I think they wanted it badly enough to have it labeled unstable, rejected, worthless, anything to make sure no one looked too closely. He paused, making a decision that would change everything. And Marcus, the dog doesn't go to the kennel. He stays with me. If someone sent him here, I want to know what he knows before they try to take him back. Dr. Park arrived an hour before dawn, her medical bag in hand and questions carefully unasked. She'd learned that about Kang Jin's world, some things you didn't question if you wanted to keep breathing. But he'd saved her life once. When the gang that murdered her detective husband came for her next, Kang Jin had intervened. Not out of kindness, he'd been eliminating competition, but he'd given her a chance to disappear, to rebuild. She owed him everything, and they both knew it. You sounded urgent on the phone, she said, setting up her portable examination equipment in Kang Jin's study. I need a full medical assessment. Everything you can tell me about this animal's history from physical evidence alone. Dr. Park approached Titan cautiously. The dog lay on an expensive rug, maintaining his facade of instability perfectly. She'd worked with traumatized animals before. They showed clear signs: avoidance, hypervigilance, unpredictable aggression. This dog showed none of that. "May I?" she asked, and something in her tone made Titan's ear flick. Permission, not a threat assessment. He remained still as she began her examination. "Muscle tone is excellent," she reported, running expert hands along his frame. "Not deteriorated at all. For a dog supposedly psychologically damaged and confined for months, his physical condition is remarkable." "What about the scars?" Dr. Park's expression darkened as she examined the marks across Titan's muzzle and shoulders. "These aren't from training equipment or other dogs. These are defensive wounds, from blades." The room went very quiet. "Someone fought this dog with knives," she continued, her voice clinical to mask horror. "Multiple attackers, judging by the angle of the wounds, and he survived." Kang Jin pulled up the falsified military records on his tablet. These claim he was unstable during training, that he attacked Hanathers unprovoked and failed all certification tests. Dr. Park studied the records, then looked at Titan. His reflexes are exceptional. His response time is within top-tier military working dog standards. If anything, he's overtrained, not under. She met Kang Jin's eyes. These records don't match the physical evidence at all. "What if the attacks came first?" Kang Jin asked quietly. "What if someone was trying to kill him and the failed tests were his only way to survive?" The realization settled over them both like ice water. Dr. Park's next scan should have been routine, checking for the standard military ID chip. Instead, her equipment detected something else entirely. She adjusted the settings, scanned again, and her face went pale. "There's a secondary device in his chest cavity, near the heart." Kang Jin was beside her in an instant. "Show me." The X-ray image showed it clearly, a sophisticated tracking device, far more advanced than standard military issue. Kang Jin recognized the technology immediately. International smugglers use them to track valuable cargo across borders. "How long has it been active?" Dr. Park typed rapidly, pulling up the device's broadcast logs. "At least 3 years. And sir," she looked up, and Kang Jin had never seen fear in her eyes before. "It's been transmitting your location since the moment you brought him here." 3 days. Someone had been watching for 3 days. Kang Jin's compound location, his movements, his security patterns, everything compromised. "Who installed this?" Dr. Park whispered. But Kang Jin was staring at the X-ray, his brilliant mind connecting pieces into a picture that made his blood run cold. A rejected military dog, a tracking device embedded for 3 years, an American colonel who dealt in weapons trafficking and made problems disappear. This dog wasn't just evidence, he was bait, and Kang Jin had taken it. He looked at Titan, who was now watching him with complete focus. The facade had dropped. This was the real animal, intelligent, patient, waiting. Then Kang Jin did something that made Dr. Park's blood run cold. He smiled. "Don't sedate him for the removal, not yet." He straightened, his voice carrying the calm of someone who just found the advantage in an ambush. "And Dr. Park, leave the tracker in for now." "You're using yourself as bait?" "No," Kang Jin corrected, looking at Titan, whose amber eyes gleamed with understanding. "I'm giving them enough rope to hang themselves. They've been watching me for 3 days thinking I'm just a gangster who bought a dog on a whim. Let them keep thinking that. Let them come." Titan's ears perked forward. For the first time, his tail moved once, a deliberate acknowledgement. The dog understood the strategy. Appear weak until the moment you strike. Kang Jin moved Titan from the secure kennel to his penthouse that afternoon. His staff was terrified, but fear kept them obedient. They gave the dangerous dog a wide berth, never getting close enough to see what Kang Jin saw. The small tells that revealed intelligence rather than instability. The way Titan's ears tracked conversations in both Korean and English. How he positioned himself to monitor all entrances while appearing to simply lie in the sun. The calculated stillness that required far more control than actual trauma would produce. The military records arrived encrypted on Kang Jin's secure server. He'd paid heavily for them. Military files weren't easy to acquire, and these had been sealed with a level of classification that screamed cover-up. Kang Jin's controlled expression finally cracked when he read them. Titan hadn't been an ordinary K9 unit dog. He'd belonged to the 707th Special Mission Battalion, ROK's elite special forces that handled operations so classified they officially didn't exist. Interagency work, black operations, the kind of missions that could never see public scrutiny. Handler listed, Captain Nam Dae-jung. Status, KIA, classified circumstances. Do not investigate further. When someone tells you not to look, Kang Jin had learned, always look. He dug through underground channels, spending money that would have funded a small war. What he found made him understand why someone had tried so hard to make Titan disappear. Captain Nam had died 3 years ago in a training accident. But here was where the pattern emerged, like blood in water. 7 other soldiers from his unit had died within 6 months. Every single one worked with military working dogs. Every single dog had subsequently been classified as unstable and scheduled for euthanasia. Kang Jin pulled up their files, one by one, his jaw tightening with each name. Staff Sergeant Kim Min-ho, training accident. Corporal Lee Sung-min, equipment malfunction. Sergeant First Class Park Ji-woo, vehicle collision. Specialist Choi Hyun-woo, training accident. Staff Sergeant Yoon Dae-won, accidental discharge. Corporal Jang Sok-jin, climbing fall. Private First Class Han Jae-sung, drowning. 8 soldiers, 8 different accidents, 8 working dogs all labeled unstable and disappeared. This wasn't coincidence. This was systematic elimination of an entire special operations unit. Someone with power, resources, and access to falsify military records had orchestrated mass murder. They'd needed to kill the dogs too, to erase every witness to whatever these soldiers had discovered. Kang Jin's mind worked through Titan's 3-year survival strategy with new clarity. The dog had become exactly what his killers labeled him: too dangerous to approach, too unstable to trust, too risky to get close enough to kill quietly. so they'd settled for making him worthless enough to eventually be sold and euthanized by some rural shelter where no one would look closely. Then they'd tracked him, waiting for the day they could finish the job when attention had faded. Marcus arrived as Kang Jin was reviewing crime scene photos he shouldn't have been able to access. "The connections you asked for," Marcus said, dropping a file on the desk. "Hayes has been operating in Korea for 5 years, military liaison, but his actual job seems to be facilitating weapons transfers for joint operations. Or stealing them," Kang Jin murmured. "What? What?" "Hayes wanted to move military equipment through our port 3 months ago. What if Captain Nam and his unit discovered Hayes wasn't facilitating transfers? He was stealing weapons and selling them to enemy combatants." Marcus went very still. "That's treason. That's a death sentence." Kang Jin looked at the dates again. Nam's team investigates weapons discrepancies. They find evidence of Hayes' operation. Before they can report it, they all die in accidents within 6 months. The dogs are scheduled for elimination because dogs have memories, Marcus finished. Working dogs especially. They remember patterns, locations, faces. Titan isn't just evidence. He's the only evidence that survived. Kang Jin studied his boss carefully. "We could kill the dog, remove the threat entirely. He's not the threat." Kang Jin's voice was cold iron. "He's been waiting 3 years for someone to figure it out, to see past the act and understand what really happened." He looked up. "And Marcus, I think he's been testing me, making sure I'm smart enough, careful enough to help him finish what his handler started." Which is? Bringing down the man who murdered 8 soldiers. Marcus absorbed this. Hayes will come for him. I'm counting on it. 3 days since the auction. The tracker was still transmitting, still feeding Hayes data that Kang Jin was just a curious crime lord who'd made an expensive impulse purchase. It was 2 a.m. when everything changed. Kang Jin sat in his study reviewing shipping manifests, looking for any sign of Hayes' operation in his territory. The compound was quiet, Seoul glittering below like a circuit board of light and sin. He didn't hear Titan enter. One moment he was alone, the next the dog was simply there, having moved through a penthouse full of armed guards with perfect silence. The supposedly too dangerous to trust dog now walked free, and Kang Jin, tellingly, didn't reach for the gun in his desk drawer. Titan approached with deliberate steps and placed something on the desk beside Kang Jin's hand. Hayes' name tag, the one from Chapter 4's cliffhanger. Kang Jin picked it up, turned it over. Worn metal, genuine U.S. Army issue. Colonel Marcus Hayes, U.S. Army Special Operations Command. "You've been carrying this for 3 years," Kang Jin said softly, waiting. Titan sat, meeting his eyes directly for the first time. No more pretense, no more facade. Kang Jin's mind raced through the timeline. 3 months ago, Hayes had approached him about smuggling weapons, experimental military technology, material bound for terrorist organizations, material that even Kang Jin's morally flexible empire wouldn't touch. He'd refused, one of the few times he'd turned down major profit. 2 of his lieutenants died in gang violence shortly after. "Hayes has been watching me for months," Kang Jin said, pieces clicking together with terrible clarity. "He knew eventually someone would buy you at auction. He probably had people at every shelter, every auction house, waiting." He looked at the tracker's transmission logs on his computer, then at Titan. "But you knew I refused Hayes. You've been monitoring the tracker's surveillance, haven't you? Through whatever systems Hayes uses. You heard my people discussing his offer. You heard me turn him down." Titan's ears flicked forward. Acknowledgement. "You didn't just survive 3 years. You hunted, waited for someone who'd proven they opposed Hayes, someone who had the resources and motivation to fight him. The dog had chosen his ally with surgical precision. This wasn't evidence waiting to be found. This was a soldier who'd completed a 3-year reconnaissance mission and selected his tactical partner based on verified data. Your handler was investigating Hayes, Kang Jin continued, watching Titan's minute reactions confirm each deduction. Captain Nam found evidence. That's why they killed him. That's why they tried to kill you. One precise movement of the tail. Yes. Kang Jin stood, walked to the window. Seoul sprawled below. His empire, his territory, his city. He'd built all of this by seeing what others missed, by being underestimated until the moment he chose to strike. And here was a soldier who'd used the exact same strategy. You want war with Hayes? Kang Jin asked the city, his reflection in the glass. So do I. But first, I need to know everything you know. That means getting that tracker out and accessing whatever data it holds. He pulled out his phone, dialed Dr. Park. I need you at the compound, now. Surgery tonight. Then, Marcus. Full security protocol. Assume we're being watched. Assume we know. He turned back to Titan, and what passed between them needed no words. 2 apex predators who'd survived by being underestimated. 2 outcasts who'd learned that survival meant convincing enemies you were beneath notice. Until the moment you were ready to strike. They think you're broken, Kang Jin said quietly. They think I'm just a gangster who doesn't understand what he stumbled into. Titan's muscles coiled, ready for orders he'd waited 3 years to receive. That's their first mistake. The storm rolled into Seoul that evening like an omen, violent, unpredictable, summer fury that turned the sky purple-black and hammered the city with rain that sounded like artillery. Kang Jin and Titan waited in the penthouse for Dr. Park's arrival. The surgery was scheduled for midnight, hours away. Time stretched thin with anticipation. Then the thunder started. The first crack wasn't particularly loud, but Kang Jin noticed Titan's reaction immediately. A subtle tension in the dog's frame, breathing rate increasing, body going rigid in ways that had nothing to do with calculated strategy. The facade that Titan had maintained for 3 years was beginning to fracture. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the penthouse in stark white. Thunder followed, a deep boom that rattled the windows, and Titan moved. Not in panic, but tactically, checking perimeters, scanning for threats, moving through the space with military precision, responding to stimuli only he could process. Guards in the hallway reached for weapons, alarmed by the sudden shift in the broken dog's behavior. Kang Jin saw it clearly. Titan wasn't having a breakdown. He was having a flashback, responding to the storm as if it were something else entirely. Mortar fire, an attack, the night his handler died. Everyone out, Kang Jin ordered sharply. Now, all of you. But, boss, the dog is out. They evacuated, leaving Kang Jin alone with a combat-trained soldier whose mind was trapped 3 years in the past. Kang Jin did something he hadn't done in 20 years. He sat on the floor, made himself small, vulnerable, non-threatening. Then he started talking. You're remembering, he said quietly as thunder crashed and Titan checked the same 3 entrances for the 4th time. The night it happened, when they came for Captain Nam. Titan's movements slowed slightly. Some part of him was listening. You were with him in that barracks 3 years ago. You were there when Hayes' men attacked, making it look like an accident. Another crack of thunder. Titan trembled, caught between past and present, between the storm and the memory of violence. You fought them, Kang Jin continued, his voice steady against the chaos. These scars, you gave them reason to fear you. That's why they couldn't just shoot you. They had to discredit you first. He recited what his investigation had revealed, each word carefully chosen to anchor Titan in the present. They made you fail those tests by attacking you, then claimed you were the aggressor. They marked you unstable so no one would believe what you witnessed. They implanted that tracker so they could finish the job later when the attention died down. Lightning painted the room white. Thunder shook the building, but Titan's tactical movements were slowing. The soldier trapped in memory was beginning to hear. But they made a mistake, Kang Jin said. They assumed no one would want you. They didn't account for someone who'd see exactly what you did, survive by becoming what your enemies thought you were, until you were ready to strike back. The rain hammered harder, wind howling around the building's edges, but the storm inside the penthouse was beginning to quiet. I know what it costs, Kang Jin continued, and something raw entered his voice, something he never showed anyone. To pretend you're nothing, to watch everyone believe the lie while you wait for your moment. To be alone with the truth for so long, you forget what it feels like to be seen. Titan stopped moving. For the first hour since the storm began, he was completely still. But I see you now, Kang Jin said, and you don't have to pretend anymore. Not with me. The breakthrough came slowly, deliberately. Titan moved closer, not in submission, but in recognition. Two survivors acknowledging each other. A dog who hadn't trusted anyone in 3 years, choosing this moment, this man, to finally stop hiding. They sat together as the storm passed, watching lightning illuminate Seoul in violent flashes. Kang Jin's hand eventually found the space between Titan's ears, and the dog didn't pull away. We're going to finish what your handler started, and when we do, Hayes is going to understand what it costs to underestimate the broken things. Dr. Park arrived an hour later to find them both at the window, two predators at peace, watching over their city. She took in the changed dynamic immediately. "He trusts you now," she observed. Kang Jin nodded slowly. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of an unbreakable vow. "And I trust him. Let's get that tracker out and see what Hayes is so desperate to hide." The surgical suite was 3 levels beneath Kang Jin's pharmaceutical company, his most secure facility, known only to his inner circle. Marcus had the perimeter locked down with 30 men, all on full alert. "Once we access that tracker's data," Kang Jin explained as Dr. Park prepared her instruments, "Hayes will know. We'll have maybe an hour before he moves." "Then we'd better make it count." Dr. Park began the delicate work of sedating Titan. The dog's eyes stayed locked on Kang Jin until the drugs pulled him under. The surgery took an hour. The tracker had been embedded with surgical precision, positioned near vital organs where removal could easily prove fatal. "Whoever installed this wanted it to kill him if anyone tried to take it out," Dr. Park reported, her hands steady despite the horror of what she was describing. "This is another layer of insurance. If the unstable label didn't get him euthanized, a shelter vet's attempt at removal would finish the job." But Dr. Park had steady hands and motivation. She owed Kang Jin her life, and she'd seen enough of his world to understand what was at stake. The tracker came free at last, bloody but intact. She placed it in a sterile tray, and Kang Jin leaned close to examine it under the surgical light. "There's more than tracking capability here," Dr. Park said, shifting to her analysis equipment. "This has data storage, memory chip with significant capacity." Marcus, watching from the doorway, straightened. "What kind of data?" "Video, I think. From..." Dr. Park's eyes widened. "From a camera the handler wore. This was designed to record and store footage from K9 unit operations." The room went very quiet. "Prepare for attack," Kang Jin said, his voice ice cold. "Marcus, full defensive positions. The moment we access this data, Hayes will know the tracker's been removed." While Marcus mobilized their forces, Kang Jin made other calls. Journalists he'd cultivated relationships with, military oversight committees he'd bribed over the years, law enforcement contacts who owed him favors, even FBI International Corruption Division. If they were going to take down Hayes, the evidence couldn't be silenced. It needed to be everywhere at once. Titan woke as they prepared to access the footage. First time in 3 years without the tracker's weight in his chest. The relief was visible. Freedom felt in every breath. "Ready?" Kang Jin asked Dr. Park. She connected the tracker to her secured laptop. The encryption was military grade, but Kang Jin had encryption specialists on payroll who owed him significantly. 20 minutes later, they were in. The first file opened. Captain Nam Dae-jung appeared on screen, young and alive and completely unaware these would be his final hours. The footage showed him in a military office, reviewing documents. His face grew increasingly grim as he cross-referenced shipping manifests, weapons inventory logs, deployment records. He was documenting discrepancies, military equipment that disappeared from inventories, shipments that went to wrong locations, weapons ending up in hands they should never reach. He found Hayes' operation, Marcus breathed. The footage continued. Nam making calls, being stonewalled by superior officers, realizing the corruption went higher than he thought, making the decision to gather physical evidence first, then take it to someone outside the chain of command. The timestamp showed him returning to his barracks near midnight, Titan visible in frame, alert beside him. Nam transferring files to a secure drive, preparing to submit his findings the next morning. Then the door burst open. 3 men in balaclavas moved with professional efficiency. Nam reached for his weapon, already knowing what was coming. Titan launched himself at the attackers, buying him precious seconds. Nam managed to finish the file transfer, secured the drive, before... The footage was brutal, efficient, military execution disguised as training accident. They killed Nam methodically, then turned on Titan with knives, trying to eliminate the witness. But the dog fought like something possessed. Wounded but alive, he held them off long enough that they couldn't risk the noise of gunshots. They settled for beating him unconscious, dragging him away as the barracks began to burn around them. The final frame showed Titan bleeding in a military transport vehicle, Hayes' name tag clutched in his jaw, something he'd torn from one of the attackers during the fight. Kang Jin's hands shook as the video ended. Beside him, Dr. Park was crying silently. "He's not just a witness," Kang Jin said, his voice barely controlled. "He's proof. Hayes couldn't kill him outright. Military working dogs undergo extensive necropsy. Any examination would reveal injuries didn't match the official story. So he made Titan disappear quietly," Marcus finished, "eventually be euthanized by some rural shelter where no one would look closely. The perfect disposal." But Dr. Park had steady hands and motivation. She owed Kang Jin her life, and she'd seen enough of his world to understand what was at stake. Marcus's radio crackled to life. "Boss, we have movement. 12 thermal signatures approaching the compound perimeter, military formation, professional spacing." Kang Jin looked at Titan, who was now fully alert despite just having surgery. The dog stood, no longer pretending to be anything other than what he was, a warrior ready for combat. "Good," Kang Jin said coldly. "I was hoping they'd come. Upload everything to our contacts, all of it. Then let's give Colonel Hayes a welcome he won't forget." The attack came at 4 a.m., the hour when even criminals sleep, when attention falters, when defenses are weakest. But Kang Jin's compound was wide awake. 12 men in tactical gear approached with military precision. They'd cut power to the surrounding blocks, jammed local communications, neutralized external security cameras. This was a surgical strike meant to look like gang warfare, standard Black Ops cleanup that Hayes had executed dozens of times. But they'd made a critical miscalculation. They hadn't accounted for Titan's ears. The dog had alerted Kang Jin hours earlier, long before thermal signatures appeared on scanners, had heard tactical movement patterns half a mile away, recognized the specific weight distribution of combat boots on pavement, the distinctive sound of suppressed weapons being checked. And Kang Jin had been preparing for this moment since the instant he'd seen Hayes' name tag 3 days ago. The compound lights suddenly blazed to life. Hidden generators powering emergency systems, spotlights illuminated the grounds, catching the tactical team exposed in the open. The jammed frequencies were redundant. Kang Jin had been operating on secured military channels he'd bought from corrupt officers years ago for exactly this scenario. Hayes' team realized too late. They weren't attacking, they were surrounded. 30 of Seoul's most dangerous criminals emerged from positions they'd held for hours: rooftops, bunkers, concealed points throughout the property. Kang Jin had turned his compound into a kill box, and Hayes' men had walked right into the center. The standoff materialized in the courtyard, rain falling, predators facing predators. One of Hayes' men dropped his radio in panic as he realized the trap. Hayes' voice crackled through, speaking English. "Stand down, Kang Jin. This doesn't concern you. Give me the dog and the device, and we walk away." Kang Jin picked up the radio. Titan stood beside him, not a rejected military dog anymore, but a soldier beside his chosen commander. "Colonel Hayes," Kang Jin responded in perfect English, "you misunderstand the situation. You're a criminal. Your testimony means nothing." "True," Kang Jin agreed calmly, "but I just uploaded Captain Nam's final recordings to 7 news organizations, 3 international military oversight committees, and the FBI's International Corruption Division." Silence on the other end. "Along with documentation of every shipment you've tried to move through Seoul. My testimony means nothing, Colonel, but Captain Nam's speaks quite clearly." 10 seconds of processing. When Hayes' voice returned, it was colder. "You've made a significant enemy." Kang Jin's response carried the weight of every gang war he'd won, every battle he'd survived from Itaewon's alleys to Seoul's heights. "No, Colonel, you made a significant mistake. You thought Titan was alone, but you forgot. Strays like us, we recognize our own, and we protect what's ours." Hayes made his final gambit: kill them all. His team moved to execute, but before they could raise weapons, sirens split the night. Seoul Metropolitan Police, dozens of vehicles converging from multiple directions, responding to gang violence, an anonymous tip Kang Jin had sent hours ago, with GPS coordinates, evidence uploads, and promises of the biggest military corruption scandal in a decade. Hayes' team faced impossible odds: fight and die, or retreat and face international tribunal. They chose retreat, melting into Seoul's alleys like smoke, but there was nowhere to run, not anymore. By noon, Colonel Marcus Hayes was in custody. By evening, international news networks were reporting the biggest military corruption scandal in years: weapons trafficking, the murder of 8 soldiers, systematic cover-ups spanning 3 years. Kang Jin and Titan watched the coverage from the penthouse, the same spot where the storm had broken the soldiers' facade just days before. The news anchor's voice filled the room. News sources confirm the evidence that brought down Colonel Hayes came from an unlikely alliance: a Seoul crime lord and a military dog everyone thought was worthless. Kang Jin muted the TV. Beside him, Titan sat at attention, watching the screen with those amber eyes that saw everything. "They still don't understand," Kang Jin said quietly. Titan moved his tail once. "No, they don't. You think I saved you." Another movement. "They're wrong." Kang Jin looked at his new partner, because that's what Titan was now. Not a pet, not evidence. A partner who'd chosen him as carefully as Kang Jin had paid 5 million won at that auction. "You were never broken. You were never worthless. You were a soldier completing a mission, and you chose me because you knew I'd understand." Titan moved closer, pressed against Kang Jin's leg, a gesture of trust that the dog hadn't shown anyone in 3 years. "Welcome home, soldier. We've got work to do." Because Seoul's underworld didn't stop moving just because one American colonel went down. And now Kang Jin had something he'd never had before: a partner who understood survival, who saw the truth beneath the surface, who knew what it meant to be underestimated until the moment you struck. The broken military dog and the crime lord who saw what everyone else missed. Together, they'd built something neither Hayes nor anyone else had anticipated: an alliance forged in recognition, tempered by survival, and absolutely deadly to those who made the mistake of underestimating them. Somewhere in Seoul, other predators were watching, other enemies were calculating, other battles were coming. Let them come. Kang Jin and Titan were ready. 6 months later, Titan walked through Kang Jin's compound with the confidence of someone who belonged. The staff no longer feared him, they respected him. Some even called him by name. Dr. Park visited weekly, ostensibly for medical checkups, but really because she'd become part of something she thought was lost when her husband died, a family of sorts. Broken pieces that had found each other in Seoul's shadows. Marcus had learned to read Titan's signals, translating the dog's observations into actionable intelligence. Turned out, a military working dog's threat assessment capabilities were extremely valuable in organized crime. In Kang Jin, he'd found something he hadn't known he was missing. Someone who truly understood him, who'd survived the same way, who saw the world with the same clarity. They'd taken down 3 more corruption networks in 6 months. Politicians, corporate executives, even another military officer who thought himself untouchable. Each time, Titan's intelligence and Kang Jin's resources proved unstoppable. The city whispered new stories now, about the crime lord and his demon dog, about justice served through unlikely channels, about enemies who made the mistake of underestimating them. One evening, Kang Jin stood at his window watching the sunset paint the Han River gold. Titan sat beside him, the same position they'd held countless times. "You know what I saw that day?" Kang Jin asked. "At the auction, when everyone was laughing?" Titan's ear flicked, listening. "I saw someone doing exactly what I'd done, surviving by becoming invisible, by being what everyone expected to see instead of what you really were." He paused. "I saw myself, and I thought, if this dog survived 3 years like that, imagine what he could do with support." Titan made a soft sound, almost like agreement. "Turned out you were thinking the same thing about me," Kang Jin continued, wondering what a crime lord who refused haze could do with proof. They'd used each other, chosen each other, saved each other, and in doing so, had become something neither could have been alone. "They still don't understand," Kang Jin said, echoing that first day. "They think you're just a dog. They think I'm just a gangster." Titan's tail moved once, that deliberate acknowledgement he'd first shown 3 days into their partnership. Let them think it, because the most dangerous predators were the ones nobody saw coming, the broken things that learned to use their scars as camouflage, the survivors who turned their trauma into tactical advantage. Seoul's underworld had learned this lesson the hard way. Colonel Hayes had learned it too late, and anyone else who made the mistake of underestimating the crime lord and his worthless dog, they'd learn it soon enough. Kang Jin smiled, resting his hands on Titan's head. Outside, Seoul glittered in the gathering dark, a city of secrets and shadows, of predators and prey, of opportunities for those smart enough to see them. "Ready for the next hunt?" Kang Jin asked. Titan stood, muscles coiling with purpose, amber eyes sharp with intelligence that had never been broken, only hidden, waiting for the right moment. Always waiting for the right moment. Always.